Imagine this. You're sitting on the couch with the biggest bag of chips you could find and binging your favorite TV show. Sounds like a perfect day to me. But unfortunately, daily habits like this are common in the US, and it's reflected on our obesity rate and puts many at health risks they're not aware of. Shoheen Sharma makes an excellent point in her article Obesity as a Multi-System Disease, which was published February 23rd, 2021, where she states nearly 1 in 2 adults will probably have obesity by 2030. This exemplifies the issue that we have at hand and makes you realize what is causing obesity and why is it so common. I took interest in this topic because I have an interest in fitness, and with that comes nutrition. So, physical activity and eating healthy are things that I somewhat enjoy, and they're part of my day to day life. So, that's why I wanted to talk about the dangers of obesity, why it's rising, and how we can slowly stop the rise so that there's not as many cases. So to start, we want to talk about the dangers of obesity. So Zachary Ward makes a point in his article, Projected U.S. State Level Prevalence of Adult Obesity and Severe Obesity, which was published in 2019, where he states that obesity particularly increases blood volume, stroke volume, and cardiac output, which leads to increased cardiac work. What that means is your cardiovascular system is working harder to perform the day-to-day functions to live, and that increases the likelihood of cardiovascular diseases and could cause for urgent medical attention to be necessary. Gabrielle Puglisi makes another point in her article Obesity and Infectious Diseases, which was published January 22nd, where she states that several cofactors can indirectly favor the onset and or worsening of infectious diseases, such as impairment of respiratory mechanics, skin, and tissue damage. Due to the impairment of immune responses, this and vitamin D deficiencies, which correlate with body fat percentage, for instance, the higher your body fat percentage, the higher chance of you having vitamin D deficiencies are. So this makes those vulnerable to infections, loss of skin, or permanent tissue damage, which none of that is fun. To continue, it's important to know what's causing obesity, not just the dangers of it. So Carl Levy mentions in his article Obesity and Prevalence of Cardiovascular Diseases and Prognosis, which was published in 2015, where he states that changes in body weight and overall adiposity are the result of chronic positive energy balance, meaning expenditure is less than energy intake. In other words, this means that the calories burned are less than the calories being consumed. So we've come to he came to a conclusion that it's not physical activity levels that are causing obesity to rise, it's the food intake, because physical activity has remained relatively the same for the past 50 years. Meanwhile, food relativity has increased, and food is more calorically dense nowadays than it used to be. So another reason that could be causing this was mentioned by Sharma earlier in the same article, where she states that the current pandemic, due to the widespread COVID-19, has highlighted the role of obesity, whose global prevalence is up 13%. So COVID's stay-at-home procedure has had an effect on obesity by preventing a lot of people from going out, going to the gym, and just doing those daily activities that burn calories, since you're at home, staying at home, not doing as much. And unfortunately, obesity puts you at a higher risk for COVID and can make your body more susceptible to other infections as well, which is just unhealthy. Lastly, this leaves us wondering, where does this leave us for the future? Lavie makes another point in the same article where he states that a common theme of various professional guidelines developed in the US, Europe, and elsewhere for management of patients with obesity is the emphasis of a multimodal lifestyle intervention, which includes dietary changes, increased physical activity, and behavioral modifications. This guide just demonstrates and gives you options of a healthier lifestyle, healthier life choices, and activities that can just help you prevent yourself from falling in unhealthy patterns and can help guide you onto that healthier lifestyle. So, obesity is currently a growing health issue that we're facing here in the US, but it's important that we take action sooner than later. And there's nothing wrong with going to get that candy bar or enjoying a nice fast food meal with your friends. It's just important that we remember to maintain balance and develop healthy habits that will help counteract those.